Advanced Studio Classroom is on the air. Are your pet bowls safe? If not, we may have an alternative. Join us next as we talk about a revolutionary pet feeding system. Welcome back to Advanced Studio Classroom. I'm your host, Brandon, and today is June 11th. So glad that you have joined us for our Pet Talk article this month. Here in the studio, I have two panelists. First, welcome back, Hazel.
Well, thanks. It's good to be back.
Hazel, you have different kinds of pets, right? Dogs, we know. What other pets do you have?
And I have two parrots.
All right. Now,
and they also use feeding bowls. They use stainless steel food and water bowls.
All right. And so maybe we can think of how they can be more comfortable too.
Yeah.
Right? Not just dogs.
I think they're pretty comfortable.
Now, what is it like taking care of a parrot? Is that difficult?
It can be. It helps if you read a lot about parrots before you get one. And if you do want to get a parrot, be sure you get one that suits your personality, or I should say your lifestyle.
What do you mean by that?
Well, just like choosing a dog, you want a dog. If you're active, you want an active dog. If you're quiet, you might want a quiet dog, that kind of thing. Some parrots can entertain themselves and have a good time if you're busy at work. But some actually depend on a person, interaction with the person. And if they don't get that, they can pull out their feathers or be bored, you know. So there's so many varieties of parrots, and so you can find one that's suitable.
Are your parrots chatty?
Yeah, they are chatty. They one likes to whistle and says a few words, and the other one will often say, "What you doing? What you doing?" or "Bye-bye," or "Night-night," you know, so.
That's fun.
And if you try to, I've been doing a little bit of recording at home on the computer, and if I try that, you can hear the bird and just talking along with me, and it's like, well, that's not working.
Do they ever wake you up in the middle of the night talking?
No, not talking. When the sun goes down and the lights go off, they're pretty quiet.
Okay, that's good.
In fact, last time I recorded, I turned off all the lights, and then they were pretty quiet.
All right, that's definitely a different kind of pet, right?
It is, but it could still have the same problem. You still want to be sure that the toys or whatever you put in their cage is safe.
That's right. Well, we also have Jack back with us today. Welcome, Jack.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and listeners, I wonder if you have a pet, and how do you feed your pet? Do you have a certain time of day, and what kind of bowl or food do you use? I mentioned yesterday that we have some cats, and typically, I know at least for our cats, we only need to feed them once per day. We give them enough food, and they will eat throughout the day. But I realized actually there's something I can share, Brandon. There's that we need to be careful about when we put in their water, because with our cats, well, they have dry food and they like to drink a little bit of water after they've eaten, and sometimes a little bit of food will be maybe stuck on their mouth and it will fall into the water bowl. Well, recently I realized that sometimes that food would make the water go bad really fast. And so I try to change the water more frequently. So even though, I replace the food once per day, the water, maybe I'll try to a couple times per day or something like that.
All right. So just paying attention to what's going on with your pets and their surroundings and what they're eating out of and so forth is important. Even if you maybe don't have a special kind of bowl that they're eating out of, there are other things that you can do. But our article here today, and we talked about it yesterday, deals with a special kind of feeding system, and WeatherTech is the company putting this out, and it's called a Pet Comfort System. We discussed that at the end of yesterday that there are a variety of bowls to choose from based on the pet height and there are different colors to choose from. And so there are lots of options there for sure. If you're interested in that, you can go to their website, the Pet Comfort website, where you can see lots of photos and so forth. Today we're on page 23, so if you have your magazine, we invite you to open it up as we'll have our first reading for the day.
Proven track record. While doubters likely abound, McNeil's entrepreneurial track record and some growing trends in the pet supplies industry indicate his ambition to change the way dogs and cats eat may not be that unrealistic. I think a few of my friends laughed at me when I said, "I'm selling black rubber floor mats," back in 1989, McNeil said. McNeil started WeatherTech out of his Clarendon Hills, Illinois home. Originally an importer, he began making his own mats using outside manufacturers, eventually bringing production in-house. McNeil relocated operations to Bolingbrook in 2009.
So we're talking about WeatherTech and its founder, David McNeil. And apparently he has a proven track record. A track record means you look at your accomplishments and also your failures, and you kind of make a judgment on that. But if you have a proven track record, that's a positive thing.
That's right. You've been successful in the other things that you've done. And so it says that while doubters likely abound, in other words, people may not think their dog needs a special bowl. Maybe their old bowl is okay, or maybe they think, come on, what kind of business is this? But his track record is good because earlier he formed another company and he had some doubters about that.
Yeah, he still has this car floor mat manufacturing business. And so we talked about that yesterday. But Jack, a lot of people laughed at him when he said he's going to make these rubber floor car mats.
That's right. And kind of what I mentioned yesterday also, I wouldn't typically think of car floor mats as being a successful business on its own. I would think of maybe like adding that as a product if you sold a lot of different car products. But in this case, McNeil wanted to start a business in 1989 just based on the car floor mats. And we can see that McNeil has a pretty good, I think, you see the word entrepreneurial instinct. Like he has a right kind of feel for what might be important or something successful.
And it may have something to do with the growing trends. That also plays a part here. What is the trend in the pet supplies industry? If he's paying attention to that, then he can tap into that, right? And so that's also a part of this. So he says a few of his friends may have laughed when he said back in 1989 that he was selling black rubber floor mats, but
Right.
I guess they're not laughing now, are they?
I guess they're not laughing now. Well, when you said trends, I'm thinking, what do people love? They love their pets. They also love their cars.
Yeah.
In America, people love their cars. So if they can get a cool floor mat that will protect their car, they're going to be interested in that. And people love their pets. So if they can get a pet feeding system where they think their pet will be more comfortable and safer, they're going to invest a little bit of extra money in that.
That's right. And I think the key word here is quality, right? You want to produce something that is high quality because there are lots of pet bowls out there. There are lots of different floor mats out there. But if you do something that's a lot different and you raise the level of quality, people are willing to pay for it. At least many are. Well, moving on to the next paragraph there in line 9, McNeil started WeatherTech out of his home there in Illinois, and he was originally an importer, Jack.
That's right. So he would just, as you can see in the rest of the sentence, he could, at first he just imported mats from outside manufacturers, perhaps other countries even, and sold them here. Then he started using outside manufacturers, probably maybe within the U.S., and would ship them into Illinois. And then eventually it says he brought his production in-house.
Yeah, if you have something in-house, you have it there within your organization. You're not going outside of it to look for something else for that particular area.
So that he started from his home, but that doesn't mean that he's still in his house doing this. In-house just means that your company owns that manufacturing
That's right.
plant.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're actually in a home. Any company can say, we do this in-house. In other words, they don't ask another company to help them with that. For example, maybe you're publishing something and you have like a publishing company in-house. They actually are producing that, or a printing company in-house. You don't have to ask another company outside to print that for you. But McNeil, he relocated operations to Bolingbrook in 2009. And so we just see here how his company has been growing, and this just explains more about his track record and his success. Next, we're going to learn about this growing pet industry. It is booming in the U.S. and I think in many other parts of the world as well. Let's get some of the stats in our next reading.
A growing industry. The pet supplies industry is booming in the U.S., with more than 2/3 of households owning at least one pet, according to an annual survey by the American Pet Products Association, a Connecticut-based trade organization. That includes about 60 million dog households and 47 million inhabited by a cat.
This is a surprising statistic to me. In the U.S., more than 2/3 of households say that they own at least one pet. Now, there are many people living in the U.S., and to have more than 2/3 of them owning a pet means that there are a lot of pets out there. That means there's a lot of pet food needed. There's a lot of pet products needed, Hazel.
That's right. It's booming, and I think dogs are a big part of that. I like the way it says there are about 60 million dog households. Sounds like the house belongs to the dog, doesn't it?
Right.
And maybe it does. People really consider their pets part of the family nowadays.
Yeah.
And so they're willing to spend money on them. And that's a lot of households willing to spend money, 60 million.
Yes.
And that doesn't include the cat households. Right. 47 million inhabited by a cat.
Right.
Not to mention that actually 2/3 of the households have at least one pet. And I know a lot of people, maybe if they have one dog, they might have two, they might have three, Hazel. Yeah. And that means, usually for a pet, they'll each have their own bowl, right? I mean, each of our cats has their own bowl. And what about your dogs, Hazel?
They each have their own bowl.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's a bowl for each pet. So that's probably maybe at least half again as much of dogs and maybe cats also in the U.S. at least.
Right. So in other words, a lot of pets to take care of, and you need a lot of products for that. So here with McNeil and others, they're paying attention to this trend and how can they benefit from that as a company, right? And so that's a big part of a big piece of the puzzle here. And if you're smart, you'll tap into that at the right time, or I guess, if you just so happen to do so, that you can benefit a lot from that. And we see that McNeil has been benefiting not only from the pet market, but also that car format company. Well, next we're going to learn about a growing concern as we continue on in our third reading.
A growing concern. When it comes to what to serve the food in, owners are increasingly concerned about the materials used in pet bowls, according to the association's survey. Bob Viteri, president and CEO of the association, said there are ongoing studies about the effect of materials in bowls on the health of pets that could lead to a marked shift in demand for products such as McNeil's new feeding system. You will start to see some definite health claims being attributed to certain composition of bowls, Viteri said. These guys might be right at the tip of a very large trend.
All right, it is a growing concern when we think about what our animals are eating out of, especially when we hear reports like McNeil's saying his last 3 dogs died to cancer. That gets your attention. You may think, well, maybe I need to change what they're eating out of. Maybe there are other problems. We don't maybe really know what caused the cancer, but definitely there are lots of toxins out there, and why not get something that will hopefully be healthy for your dog to eat out of? So, this is a growing concern when it comes to what to serve the food in. Owners are increasingly concerned about the materials used in pet bowls, and this is according to that same survey from the American Pet Products Association. We meet the president and CEO of the association next in our next paragraph. And what is that describing, Jack?
Yeah, so Bob Viteri said there are ongoing studies about the effect of materials in bowls on the health of pets. And what he's saying is that these studies could lead to a marked shift in demand.
All right, and so that word marked, what is that referring to, Hazel?
A marked shift, it means something very noticeable. You can see that the shift is happening. It's not just very subtle, but it's very definite.
All right, it's noticeable. There is a shift happening. And then at the top of the next column, you will start to see some definite health claims being attributed to certain composition of bowls. A health claim. People are saying, hey, my dog or cat's eating out of this bowl, and now they have become sick, and they're saying that this bowl actually caused that. They're attributing that sickness to that, and it's because of the composition of the bowl, what the bowl is made of. And so if that starts to happen, Hazel, I think you will see a lot more attention on this.
Right, and I read that in a more positive way, that perhaps people making the newer bowls will say this is guaranteed healthy, or this is certified not to make your pet sick, certified good standard, good quality. So that could be the case too. Yeah, so which would you choose? You want a bowl that is certified safe for your pet.
Yeah, I think that's a proper interpretation there of what they're trying to get across here, Hazel. And as we end this section, it says these guys might be right at the tip of a very large trend. Now, if you're at the tip of something in this context, what are they saying, Jack?
Well, it means that you're at the very front of it. So they are, in this case, they're going to lead this kind of trend of bringing out these new kinds of pet bowls.
They're discovering something new. They're at the edge of something big. Well, now it's time for them to get the word out. As we go to our last reading, we'll learn all about that.
Getting the word out. A ubiquitous advertiser who voices his own radio spots, McNeil has taken to the airwaves to pitch his newest product. Pet comfort billboards featuring a larger-than-life Scout selling 100% non-toxic pet bowls have also begun popping up. McNeil is convinced his message and his product will resonate with pet owners. People absolutely love their pets, and they consider them family members, McNeil said. To ensure that they're being fed safely, I think, is priceless.
All right, it's time to get the word out. If you are getting the word out, you're telling people something, right? And we're talking about advertising here. That's definitely a way to get the word out for a company. And we see here that McNeil is a ubiquitous advertiser, Jack.
Yeah, ubiquitous means, it's kind of present everywhere, and it seems that that's something that McNeil is pretty good at. He's able to use lots of different methods and locations to kind of share about his products.
He actually voices his own radio ads. Here, the word spot is just referring to an ad, and voicing meaning he is the voice in the ad. And so he doesn't hire someone else to do that. He does that himself, apparently. And he has taken to the airwaves.
That's right, to pitch his newest product. When you pitch a baseball, you throw it in a certain direction, and when you pitch a product, you tell how great it is, and you hope that someone wants to buy it and believes you.
That's right. So he's doing this on the air. We say airwaves. We're thinking of radio or perhaps TV. And he's taken to, that's a phrase we use sometimes to talk about a specific public platform that you go to express your thoughts. And so he's taking to the airwaves. He's using the airwaves to pitch his ideas, to pitch his newest product. And what about billboards? You saw some of those when you were in Chicago, didn't you, Jack?
Yes, that's right. I saw a lot of the WeatherTech, the floor mat billboards. I must have left Chicago before the pet comfort system was made because I did not see any of those. But yeah, I'm sure that there are plenty of those now up in Chicago. They're usually posted around the freeways, and they're usually very clear, nice billboards to look at.
All right, and on these billboards, they feature a larger-than-life Scout. We learned yesterday that Scout is McNeil's personal dog, and so they're using this dog in the ads. And larger-than-life just means it's a huge picture of Scout there on the billboard as you're driving down the freeway. And what is Scout trying to sell us, Hazel?
These non-toxic pet bowls.
And they've been popping up. So in other words, these billboards, you see one and there, you see another one maybe down the road. They're popping up everywhere. And they say they're non-toxic. On their website, they give a whole list of things that these bowls what they don't have in it. They're BPA-free, they're lead-free, they're mercury-free, radiation-free, and so on. And so I just think the price is still there. It's not free. You have to buy it. That's where the free drops off there. And so you can check that out, their website, for more information on that. So, moving on to the next paragraph, McNeil is convinced his message and his product will resonate with pet owners. That word resonate is a good word to know, Jack. What does it mean if something resonates with you?
It means that it will feel the same thing or respond in the same way. So in this case, that this concern about our pets and about how safe they are, that McNeil's concern will be felt by the consumers, by other pet owners as well.
That's right. People absolutely love their pets, he says, and they consider them family members. Now, this is true for a lot of people. I don't think everyone would say that, but as you mentioned earlier, Hazel, that a lot of people do say that these days.
They do. You do hear that a lot.
All right.
And really, I mean, it's true the bowls are not free, and perhaps, I don't know exactly the price of them. They may be a little bit expensive. I'm not sure. I have to check the price on that. But when I think about it and I think, wow, if the way I feed my pet really could lead to, say, my pet getting cancer, and a lot of people, we love our pets and we care about them, and we would actually pursue, some kind of cancer treatment, maybe see if there's anything I could do to help my dog. Well, in that case, then the expense of buying a safe bowl for them seems a lot more worth it than having to put my pet through that later on.
And I think some of this, of course, we want to take very good care of our pets, but some of these options may not be available to everyone. Maybe some people couldn't afford to buy the most expensive pet bowl and that sort of thing. So I think we have to do, the best we can, and maybe that can determine how many pets we have and so forth, based on how much we can afford them. But we want to do the best we can, but not everyone, Hazel, can afford maybe the best quality products.
Well, that's true. I looked at the price and thought, well, it might be worth it because it's stainless steel. It will probably last a very long time.
True.
There's probably other stainless steel products that are just as good,
right,
but maybe not advertised as well.
Right.
But even more or as important as that is what's in the bowl. You need to have a safe dog food. I've lost some pets because the dog food was contaminated.
Right.
So you need to always check the ingredients. Be sure it's mostly from meat, usually, and And so that's important too. Stay attuned to what's important in dogs' health.
Speaking of dog food, Hazel, I think you mentioned you had a special story if we had time that you would share. And we do have time, fortunately. So what is the story that you wanted to share with us?
This is the mystery of the dog bowl.
Ooh.
I had one of my dogs just suddenly stop eating from a bowl, and then she'd bark at the food, so I knew she was hungry. So I found out she would eat pieces of dog food around the bowl, and so I started feeding her on the floor, and she was fine with that. So I tried to get different bowls, and I tried plastic, and I tried stainless steel, and I tried big bowls and small bowls, and she would never eat out of the bowl. And I think I looked online for help, and then finally I realized a month or so before I had changed the tags on their collar. So her tag was clinking against the metal of the dog dish, and it scared her. And then she thought every time she ate out of a bowl it was going to be noisy like that, and she didn't know what to do. So it took a while. I took the collar off, of course, the tag, and then I had to retrain her to eat out of the bowl. But there you go. If your dog is scared to eat out of the bowl, be sure it doesn't have big tags that are making noise on the side of the dish.
Wow,
what
interesting.
detail involved in that. That's amazing. And,
After I figured it out, it was pretty easy. It's like, why didn't I think of that earlier?
Mystery is solved. Well, you wouldn't necessarily think of that, right?
Yeah.
That's a small detail that made a big difference for the dog, right? All right. Well, maybe you have some stories like that to share with us, or maybe you have some thoughts on this pet feeding system from Pet Comfort or from WeatherTech. So write in to us and let us know your thoughts. Our email address is advanced@studioclassroom.com. And you never know, your feedback may appear on our feedback page in the magazine. So again, write into us and let us know at advanced@studioclassroom.com. Tomorrow, we are still going to be talking about pets, but we're switching gears a bit. We're talking about pet allergies. We're going to dispel some pet allergy myths as we wrap up this month's Pets article. We hope you will join us for day 3. In the meantime, check out our Topic Talks videos. Go to studioclassroom.com, click on the Topic Talks icon, or simply scan the QR code on page 22 or in all of our articles this month to view the Topic Talks videos. Well, until tomorrow, this is Brandon,
Hazel.
And Jack.
saying goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.